Welcome learners. We'll be having a discussion on Module 16. As you have undergone through the program structure, this Module 16 is all about business correspondences. We shall be having some discussion on business correspondences, its various aspects. This module is very important because we are living in a business age and you all are trying to develop your skills in functional English. Dear learners, having high command over English language does not necessarily make someone an effective person in business correspondence. Knowledge of English language is important, but that is not a sufficient condition. You need to be a good communicator in the workplace. To that extent, you will have to develop expertise in functional English. So this module will basically strive on that aspect, that how can we integrate our knowledge of English language with the requirements of business correspondence. Because the world has changed a lot. With the fast development of social media, more especially in the last 3 decades, we have seen introduction of new tools and technology, and we have been observing important changes which are taking place in the workplace communication culture. The entire spectrum has undergone a lot of changes. So in this module, we shall discuss some of the important skills for using English, both for written as well as our spoken communication, more especially in business setting. That's why the name is business correspondence. Dear friends, the learning objectives of this particular module would be, we shall be discussing the importance of English for business communication. We shall try to find out the challenges in workplace communication and the need for communicative competence. In this module, we shall try to apply some of the principles for successful written and oral communication, most especially in the workplace. Then we shall also try to identify the use of email, which most of us are widely using, but still we lack certain skills, many of us. So we shall try to sensitize you and help you in identifying the use of email, more especially in the emerging social media and basically for communicative purposes. We shall also learn how to apply the persuasive techniques, and this is especially in the context of sales correspondence, because in sales correspondence we need to make a lot of persuasions. We need to have a lot of assertions. So to that extent, we shall try to learn about applying persuasive techniques in producing sales correspondence, and at the same time while writing job application letters also, because that also requires promoting oneself. And then we shall also try to understand how persuasion is involved to make enquiry and invitation messages effective. Dear friends, when we talk about written and spoken communication in workplaces, first of all, we need to have an answer to a question, that why do we communicate in workplace? Can you think of a situation in which we are not communicating in the workplace and the things will move? Communication is the lifeblood. It is so essential in workplace that the question of why do we communicate, right, will require probing in certain aspects, because this will give us some insight and which will help us in developing our communication, in improving our communication effectiveness. Why do we communicate? Right? That is the basic question we have been discussing. We communicate to inform. Sometimes we communicate to gossip also. We talk about lots of informal communication which take place in the workplace. We talk about grapevine, we talk about gossiping, and in the formal setting, we talk about communication purposes, basically to inform, to report, to request, to persuade, to negotiate. Is not it? Just think about. There is a set of basically the purposes for which we communicate at the workplace. These are some of the examples of dominant communicative purposes at workplace. We need to read and write emails. Is not it? We need to attend meetings, and while attending meetings, we need to prepare the agenda notes. we need to prepare the proceedings. All these are forms of communication. We need to prepare and deliver speeches. We need to make presentation, business presentation. We need to present our proposals. We need to present the summary of findings of the reports that we prepare. Is that it? We need to communicate a lot in our workplace. See, while communicating, can theories help us? Let us go back to the days of Aristotle. According to Aristotle, the great Greek philosopher, there are three modes of persuasion. Because in workplace we communicate to persuade, is that it? To persuade means what? To get things done as per our wishes. We need to persuade, we need to convince, we need to assert. So according to Aristotle, there are three modes of persuasion. One is ethos. Ethos implies character. The second one is pathos. That implies emotion. And the third one is logos. That means reason and logic. So dear friends, what are three modes of persuasion? Ethos, character. I am persuading, I am communicating the very person in me, the personality, the persona, which is making the communication. Because I am making the communication with the help of the words that I have chosen, the eye contact, the expressions, the use of body language, everything. Totality it is communicating, the character of the person. And while persuading, I need to have the emotion. Suppose think about an LIC agent making a presentation and he is trying to sell a LIC policy, a particular scheme of LIC. He has to get emotionally involved with the product while trying to present the scheme to his client. Why? Unless he loves the scheme, unless he himself loves the scheme, the policy, the benefits which are being imparted, he won't be able to present the same in the same communication platform to his client. Likewise, for a salesperson, in order to make a sale, he will have to love his product. Why will the prospective buyer will buy the product? He will have to find some meaning in the product. His needs will have to be satisfied. And that is the reason and logic. Because he will be spending his hard-earned money. So in persuasion, basically the character of the person, the emotion in the presentation, and the logic in the presentation. It has to have the logic. It has to have some amount of emotional component. It cannot be a mechanical thing that this is the policy, you buy it, right? It will not sell. It will have to be sold. It will have to be presented with some emotion. You are going to retire. After retirement, you will be having this kind of problems. So in that case, you need to help yourself. Right? This will help in arousing emotion. So in order to make this kind of business presentation, one will have to have a mixer, a blending of all this. So it requires a synchronization. Dear friends, dear learner, this synchronization of these modes, these three modes, it can take an audience from where they are to where you want them to be. While we discuss about the challenges in workplace communication, plain language, that holds a great deal of importance. Dear friends, we all know about the great president of America, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln had to make use of his communication skills to a great extent. And another president, Bill Clinton, in your reading material, the example has been given. Bill Clinton, his government, had to write a letter to the federal governments to use simple language, to use plain language. That happens in the context of America. That you use plain language, because plain language that makes use of common words, day-to-day words that we all use. Whenever there are some technical terms, we need to use those technical terms. More especially in this IT savvy world, we have to use a lot of technical terms. But those technical terms almost have become synonymous with common words. We need to use active voice. Many times we use long sentences with passive voice. Plus, we need to make use of short sentences. Dear friends, this communicative competence has been a very important topic as far as the workplace communication is concerned, because in today's context, everybody is competing. Competition, cooperation, co-optation, collaboration, these are the words of the day. So communicative competence is important for today's organizations. And when we talk about communicative competence, we shall confine ourselves to this spectrum of communication only. First of all, we all need to have the linguistic competence, means the command over the language. We need to develop the ability to use the skill, communication skill, diction, the way we speak. We need to use examples. We need to make use of phrases and idioms. All these things help us in developing linguistic competence. We can use quotations also. But everywhere we need to strike a balance. If we are making use of a quotation, this should not be that long. This should just suffice to the main condition of the communication, the main purpose of communication. Many times we use some word, right, like say persuasion. And in workplace communication, sometimes, dear friends, those of you who are working in government offices or maybe in some other offices, you may find some use of some words, say kindly P and R. Means what? Or sometimes it could be simply P and R. It is circulated. Right? A circular has come to you, P and R. So what will you understand? P and R means perusal and return. Means you go through it and then you return the document to me. And while returning the document, you can return the document with your own comment also. So this word perusal is widely used in workplace communication. Perusal means what? Detailed reading. Going between the lines, making notes, comments. But sometimes what kind of instruction we give? You should peruse the information quickly and submit a report to me. Sometimes we make an instruction like this, that you should peruse the information quickly and submit a report to me ASAP. ASAP means as soon as possible. But here the thing is that we are asking for perusal. Perusal means detailed reading, reading between the lines. So here we should not say that peruse the information quickly. That use of the word quickly is wrong. Peruse the information carefully. That would be better appealing. So these are important aspects of functional English in workplace communication. Plus, we need to be concerned about the socio-linguistic competence. While making business correspondences with a Chinese or a Japanese firm, we should be extra careful in this respect. This is more so in case of international marketing, in case of international business, in case of international procurement. So Japanese, they use a word called say kaizen. So if you are having some conversation with a business counterpart in Japan, so if you use the word kaizen, that becomes appealing. And by using that word, means what? You also know how do the Japanese have developed this kind of a culture. Kaizen basically means the step-by-step improvement. It does not advocate about drastic improvement. It believes that drastic improvement might lead to drastic fall. So step-by-step improvement. Right? These are some of the things, right, while dealing with the different cultures. Then discourse competence and another is strategic competence. Suppose I am making this communication to you. So here when making this communication, sometimes, right, I may miss one or two words. I may misspell one or two words, or there could be something also. But if I am not deviated from the main purpose of the communication, I can make some kind of discourse adjustments here and there because the basic purpose remains the same. This requires competence. So many of us, while making the communication, sometimes it so happens that while making the communication, some disturbance comes and we just get nervous and we give it up. That should not be the case. So it's basically communication. When the communication becomes problematic, we need to find ways to get the message across. These ways we can think about rephrasing, we can think about paraphrasing. So you can educate yourself more on paraphrasing. Just give a Google search on paraphrasing. You will be able to educate yourself more. And the fourth one is the strategic competence. So while making the presentation, suppose I am going to make a presentation on a business proposal. So that business proposal has got lots of strategic importance. Then what can I do? That before making the business proposal, I shall send a number of emails. Maybe I shall send the PowerPoint in advance. Maybe I shall send the detailed presentation, the detailed proposal in advance. Then I will make the presentation. Then I will follow it up. It's a kind of sequences of various things. And these are all important matters of communicative competence. So strategic competence, this is an aspect of communicative competence. It basically refers to the ability to overcome difficulties when communication breaks down so bad. Otherwise, it's inevitable because communication is a continuous process. It means being systematic at combating unwanted communicative interaction and basically retaining the fluency in our conversational skills. Dear friends, you all are using email and you all are maybe engaged in the social media platforms. Suppose when we are making email correspondences, sometimes we use of letters. Letters have the file numbers, the dates, etc. And sometimes we send the letters as attachment to the via email. So in that case, while sending the email, we need to see, are we communicating via letters also? If we are communicating via letters, in that case we can attach that letters. That as stated in the letter, attach therewith or like that. This basically, that supplements the communication. But many of the offices nowadays make use of paperless office, they make use of e-office. And if they are making use of e-office, that has got a structured format of recording, retrieving, storage. So in that case, this thing may not be that relevant. So what communicative purposes are we intending to achieve by using emails and social media? Many of the companies nowadays have got their presence in the social media platform. Right? They are live in Facebook, Twitter, etc. And there also we need to see how much should we communicate. Are we creating clutters? We are sitting information, right? Storehouse, so much of information, right? We get lost. Are we contributing to that clutter? We need to see. We need to make judicious use of the emails. Then, are we familiar with the features and format of email? We need to question ourselves. Do we include subject lines in the emails? Many of us just send it, subject lines, right? We do not make proper use of subject lines. Many of the readers, prospective readers, will make judgments by reading at the subject lines only. And many of them just get rid of unsolicited emails by reading that subject line. So we need to be highly conscious about making judicious use of words in the subject lines. And do we start with greetings and openings? How about closings? Many times we just begin abruptly and close abruptly. So this beginning and ending should not be right that abrupt. Email is a highly economical way of sending messages. We can check email, we can reply to it at our own discretion. Doesn't have to be synchronous. With emails, we can send documents as attachments, and that can be mass mailed across. We can create groups. We can communicate with people around the globe. Is that it? 24/7. We can make idea exchanges in organizations more effective, efficient. These things we all know. And emails can be predominantly used for different purposes like general communication, start sharing information, customer service, social use, right? Like keeping in touch, personal characterization. We all know about all these things. So in the emerging social media context, basically as I have told you, always use a descriptive subject line. Like letters, greetings, salutations and closings are important, as I have already told you. So there is no consensus on the length of an email, but there is a general understanding that it should not go on. And conciseness has its own advantages. Make appropriate use of bold letters, italics, spacing, letter fonts. Through practice, read the emails carefully from the credible sources. See, observe how are they making their own presentations. And when replying to an email, include the original in the body of the message so that the correspondences can be continuous. turn on the auto reply function if you are out of office for an extended period. Read the email before you send it. Do not overuse reply to all, because reply to all might create confusion sometimes. It might have some personal things also. So do not reply to spam messages, all this. Sales correspondence is another area. It has to be impressive, persuasive. It should be free from exaggeration. At the beginning of this presentation, I told you about those LIC agents making presentation of their schemes. So the sender of the information should transmit a positive light in the correspondences. Promptness in correspondences always makes a difference. Whenever you are receiving emails, you try to answer the emails within 24 hours. Don't delay it. And use proper spelling, grammar, punctuation, use proper structure, layout, right? Needless to mention. I've been repeatedly telling you about all these things because these are essentials of business correspondence. Be concise, once again, to the point. Answer all questions and preempt further questions. That will develop a kind of proactiveness in your approach. Make it personal by appropriate greetings and closings. Sales promotion letters gain the attention of the prospective customer. That is important. The potential customer may not have an immediate need for the product. So you'll have to arouse, like the LIC agent, you will have to arouse the interest. Be short. However, there should be enough details. Short does not mean that you do not have the details. You'll have to strike that kind of balance. So, all these things need to be stated in your communication or the letters who already have some need or intention to buy your product or service. Convince the prospective customers about the need satisfying capacity of your product. Likewise, dear friends, as I have discussed the sales correspondences, job applications is another area. In job application, basically we are trying to promote ourselves like sales presentations. So that's why it's like a sales presentation. So we need to list the relevant skills, the abilities of the applicants, the details of skills, where did we acquire those, our past qualifications, past experiences. All these things we need to present in a chronological manner. You can educate yourselves about resume preparation. Right? Lots of guidances you will be able to make use of with the help of internet. But while making use of these guidances, always be sure that what is the basic reason you are making this application. You should be able to articulate the reasons for applying the job. So when you would be able to take up a position and what kind of position you are looking for, the terms and conditions, all these things need to be spelled out in your job applications. After COVID-19, that work from home has become a norm for many of the applicants. So whether you prefer work from home, that also may be indicated if you are willing. So at the same time, you need to enclose your documents, you need to close your application, you need to put your signature for claiming ownership of your job applications. These are all essentials. We all know about. But the thing is that these are matters of business correspondences. These are matters of application of knowledge and skill of your functional English. That's why these are important. Likewise, we send goodwill messages also. And many times we make use of some words in English language. And while choosing these words also, we need to be careful. I've just given you some examples. One example could be, I would like to comment one of your employees who has done an excellent job in handling a complaint of serious nature like this. This is a note of appreciation. If this note is passed to the concerned employee, the employee will feel good. Likewise, it can be another one. Thank you very much for your hospitality extended to me in my last visit to your organization. Would like to express our gratitude for your kind cooperation and a generous donation. If you are receiving a donation, let me congratulate you on, like this on the occasion. It could be, I was saddened, distressed to hear, of the demise of so and so, like that. I would like to extend my greatest sympathy, condolences to, like that. I take great pleasure in inviting you. These are some of the forms of communication which we all are making use of. And in business settings also we need to make use of. So thank you messages, right, very important. Many times we forget to give the thank you. You can give it to a customer who has placed a large order, or the customer who has placed a first order, or a customer who has placed an order after a long period of time. You can give thank you to a customer who has paid a long overdue bill, or maybe to a customer who is consistent on paying on time. Or you can give a thank you letter, an appreciation letter to an employee who has made a special effort in completing a difficult work, or who has produced consistently good work, or maybe someone who has made particularly valuable suggestions for process improvement in your organization. Likewise, we can think about the enquiry messages. Enquiry messages, it could be in terms of asking for catalogs and price list. That we would be happy if you could provide us the recent catalog or the recent price list. This is a kind of enquiry. We can request for samples. We can request for patterns, demonstrations. We can request, send emails. Right? We can ask for details regarding terms, methods of payment, discounts. We can ask for terms and conditions to return the goods, or we can ask for an estimate or tender. Invitation messages, many times we organize meetings, we organize partings, events. So in these cases also, we send the invitation messages. So we need to establish the context, credentials, detailing in terms of date, time, duration, venue. We need to solicit response, anticipate the RSVP, mostly we use, and we need to thank also. So invitation messages, basically we talk about this kind of elements, like say context, credentials, the venue, date, time, duration. These are essentials. Then you need to structure it. So basically in this module, dear friends, we have discussed various facets of business correspondences in workplace communication. Being concise is important in workplace correspondences, that I have been repeatedly telling you, but we should be equally concerned with sharing relevant details in proper ways. Technical knowledge, in today's context, use of email, social media is important. More especially when we talk about sales correspondences, writing job application letters, the traditional principles of letter writing still holds good. Those are still there. But we need to make it compatible with a given media. If we are using email, attachment is important. Beginning, closing, and so with proper skills of using English, communication can be much more effective. So thank you very much. We shall look forward to meeting you in some other modules. Thank you.